Party Monster is a 2003 LGBTQS+ film, which stars Macaulay Culkin, Seth Green, Wilmer Valderrama. As I said, stars Macaulay Culkin in what was his first movie since Richie Rich back in 1994. After he did Richie Rich, he virtually disappeared from just about everywhere. And then in 2003, he does a guest appearance in Will and Grace, and that led to more publicity for him doing Party Monster. Now, Macaulay Culkin did do one serious R-rated thriller called The Good Son back in 1993. But still, when he did The Good Son, he was the same little kid that everyone remembered from Home Alone and My Girl. Like, even though he was a tiny bit older back then, still, you still saw Kevin McAllister playing a crazy child. But in Party Monster, he was in his early 20s, and there was just simply a bigger difference between seeing him as a child in general back in the 90s and seeing him as a 20-some-year-old in 2003. It's tough to say if the best performance by a Culkin would be something that Kieran Culkin did, or if it would be Macaulay Culkin in Party Monster. Now, maybe it's just me, but I do think that Macaulay Culkin doing Party Monster is probably the best performance that Culkin has done. So Party Monster, on the whole, it isn't really anything to write home about if you're not part of the LGBTQS+ community. I'm not, and frankly, though, probably the main reason why I got into this as much as I did is because of its stars. Yes, Culkin himself is the shining star of the film, but you gotta give credit where credit is due. And you look at Wilmer Valderrama, you look at Seth Green, and you look at Dylan McDermott. You gotta think, it's cool seeing some of them. The man who Macaulay Culkin portrays, his name was Michael Alec, who was a real guy. I don't know how accurate the movie is to Alec's actual crimes, but Culkin portrays Michael kind of like those entitled gay and transgender non-binary people that you would see being very, very obnoxious and very, very annoying and very pugnacious on TikTok and YouTube. I know that not everyone in that community is like that, but the really controversial ones that had to do with the really stupid things on TikTok and on YouTube, Michael Alec, the way that Culkin portrays him, he's a lot like that. And back in 2003, all that woke stuff really wasn't a thing. And but as of now, woke really is huge. Seeing a movie kind of ahead of its time in that sense, it's a pleasant surprise seeing that being done. I know that I'm sure that if the movie came out in 2000, when the movie came out in 2003, that it was a major turnoff for some people, but now you see how much Culkin's performance kind of matches what you see on TikTok and YouTube. It's wow. So anyone that's not familiar with what the movie's about and who Michael Alec is, Michael Alec was this gay man who moved to New York in the 1980s. And he really wanted to make a big explosion in the gay club scene. So he pushes his way into befriending this man named James St. James, who is a fictionalized character. He's played in the movie by Seth Green. And yeah, Michael eventually, like it's a rise and fall story about Michael's club ventures, and eventually he just gets so wrapped up in drugs and his ego really gets out of control, and because of that, it eventually leads to the death of his drug dealer named Angel. It's kind of like a been there, done that sort of thing. But I do think that that Macaulay Culkin in this film is worth seeing alone. Anyone else in this movie really would have flown underneath the radar. Nobody would have remembered it right after coming out. People don't really remember it these days, but yeah, back in 2003, it was a pretty hot film. So yeah, I do feel like giving a Party Monster from 2003 3 stars out of 4. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you again next time.